So after talking about TBI, brain injuries, mental disorders, all that shit, it got me thinking. I mean, ever since I was 6, doctors have been diagnosing me, putting my brain under a microscope, hooking my head up to what are those things called, looking for what's wrong so they can try and cut it out of my skull. And so at a very young age, I just was very aware of myself, my mind, what I was feeling, going to years of therapy. Oh, don't keep it inside. Make sure you talk about your feelings, blah, blah, blah. Do you know that they've realized that what's wrong with these teenagers, 20 something kids these days is that they're talking about their feelings too much? That they're complaining about their lives, their problems so much, they want to diagnose them with something so they can know what's wrong with them, so they can focus on what's wrong with them. And that's why they can't do anything in life or become anything in life, because they think there's something wrong with them. And a lot of scientists and researchers who know better are realizing there's nothing wrong with them, but these parents and these kids think that life would be easier to go through if they had something to say is wrong with them or bitch about or focus on, instead of going out into the garden, planting it and fucking working and pulling the weeds out and actually making something of their lives. This is what happens when I spend a lot of time by myself. I start thinking about my life. I start thinking about my diagnosis. And did I need to be diagnosed? What made things better? Saying that you have depression, how does that help? Doesn't help. Get over it. No. Triggers. Is there something triggering the depression or the anxiety? If there's a trigger, that means you don't have, just in my opinion. Now, if I got off that last medication and then my brain goes really bad and there's no triggers for that, yeah, that's different. What am I getting at? So after I was done with the doctors and the psychiatrists, and I just was done talking about myself, I just decided to live my life being very self-aware. So when there was anxiety for no reason, let's figure out what's going on. When there was anxiety for a reason, it was like, oh, we must make that reason go away. We must get rid of that anxiety. And now I'm seeing things differently. There's so many resources out there. I'm starting to realize that maybe anxiety, at least the kind of anxiety that's triggered by something in my life, is a good thing. And that's a sentence I never thought I would say, because in my case, in my life, anxiety has been the worst, scariest thing ever. I'm not talking, oh, I'm nervous to go to school or I'm nervous to start this new job. I'm not talking about that kind of anxiety. I'm talking about I woke up this morning and I was scared shitless for no reason. That's the kind of anxiety I'm talking about. So, of course, I like to get other perspectives, podcasts, whatever, which is what I was referencing when I'm just looking at, I work with all these 20-something boys, and it just blows my mind, some of them. Like, I told one of them something he didn't want to hear about his job. He said he was going to go to his car and he never came back. Whoops, that was my fault. Sorry, boss. Yeah, I got talked to about that. I was just being honest, but I didn't know that you can't be honest with 20-somethings. No, they scare easily. But in this podcast, it's just like my generation, Gen X, yeah, we were told to suck it up. You hurt yourself physically, suck it up. You could cry about it for 2 seconds, but suck it up. That's nothing, life is so much worse than stubbing your toe. But these kids nowadays, no, it was never suck it up. It's, oh baby, here, cry about your poor little skin knee, and then mommy's gonna feed you ice cream and give you diabetes. It's, maybe I'm wrong. But back to this, what's that called? Epiphany? When you just realize something, listening to other podcasts about, anxiety, about the brain, about mental disorders, and how, seeing anxiety as a good thing. So here's the deal. About a month ago, maybe longer, one of those 20-somethings moved into the apartment below me. And since then, my anxiety has been off the charts because of how loud he is with his music. Yep, I'm that old person now. Okay, call me Karen, but I work my ass off. I work my ass off. I go to the gym. I want to come home and not feel my floors vibrating. At least, all right, you know what I'm saying. So, I talk to the landlord. Landlord talks to the kid's mom, because mommy's paying for it, not him. No, he's... So, the mom comes to my apartment to apologize for her 20-something son. Yeah. He couldn't have the balls to come say that to me, so mommy had to go do it for him. This is what I'm talking about. And his girlfriend, like, what, oh my god. And she's telling me he's such a sweet boy, but he's got learning disabilities. So that has to do with music being played too loud. She's like, oh, he loves music. So I'm like, yeah, I love music too. But I'm also aware that other people in the apartment complex maybe don't want to hear it. So I'm mindful of other people. And it's just like this kid cannot get it through his head that there's other people existing in the apartment complex besides him. And she's like, just go down there and talk to him. And I'm thinking, if I go down there and talk to him, I'm going to go to jail. Yeah, it's gonna get bad. It's like, because that's called ignorance. And if there's one thing I can't stand, it's ignorance, entitlement, when you've done nothing but be born and think you can do whatever the hell you want to do. So yeah, for whatever reason, that, ignorance, protruding through my apartment just triggered the fuck out of my anxiety. And I know why. Because of something I went through as a kid where when other people would do that, my father would get really pissed off. I wonder where I get it from. Thanks, Dad. And he would be like, turn that music down. And I would get nervous. And so I would tell everybody, you need to turn your music down. My dad's going to get really... And it's not like he was going to do anything. He wasn't abusive. He just yelled and for a little, whatever. And I've called the cops like 5 times on this kid, and you can hear him down there stomping and throwing things because he's a child. He can't manage his emotions. They can't handle it. They can't even his mommy told me he's got a temper. Really? I'm gonna have to make a part 2 for. But I'm trying to figure out how to deal with my anxiety. So sleeping, I call the cops at night. I got this little headband with Bluetooth in it to cut out the noise. I started taking substances that maybe I shouldn't, whatever. All these things that I'm trying to do to handle the anxiety. So, I bought this big, huge pillow to bury myself. Just all these things I'm trying to do so I can get rid of the anxiety. And then I realized, all right, anxiety, maybe you're here because I've gotten too comfortable and it's time to learn something about myself. And maybe I need to learn how to channel that anxiety and, make it my bitch. And I thought, maybe it's time to move. Maybe it's time to change things up. Maybe... but then the idea of change, it's like I'm checking my pulse, I can feel my heart racing, but I'm like, this is the good kind of anxiety. This is the kind where it's triggered by something. Don't freak out. This is something we can work on. Instead of saying, I'm going to go down there and blow up his stereo, or I'm going to go down, or I even have his mom's phone number. I haven't used it yet. But I got her number because I was like, maybe we need to have a little talk about your son so I can tell you you're a shitty parent. That's not going to do any good. See, but my brain is going a million miles an hour because the anxiety in my brain is like, oh, I need to fix this. I need to make it go away. By the way, if you've lasted this long, I appreciate your commitment to my mental health. Even though there's a lot of you out there who hate me just based on my appearance, and that's okay because I love you too. So... if this needs to be a part 2 of how I'm going to deal with this, let me know. But the algorithm also sucks on this app, so it's not going to get to most people. The point I'm trying to make is anxiety,